Well, the time has come for spear discussions. As your resident Guardian main, this video will be diving into the Guardian Spear and all about how I've been using it so far. I'm gonna go over the spear skills, what they do, some example rotations and combos, how I think it fits into the Guardian playstyle, some example builds for both open world and group content. There's a lot to cover here, so we best get started right away. Okay, so I'll start off with what the spear does in case some of you haven't tried it yet or want an explanation. The Guardian Spear is very much a power weapon, but it also has some decent support capabilities. Support that can affect both you and allies. The biggest thing to learn about the spear is the illuminated mechanic. Each skill except for the auto attack has two versions, regular and illuminated. When using a spear skill, you will get the illuminated buff, and the next spear skill will cast as its illuminated version. The illuminated version will have extra bonus effects. For example, Helio Rush heals allies you pass through and applies boons. Gleaming Disc deals more damage and applies boons. Solar Storm delivers more hits and heals when it cleanses Condi. So simply put, you'll want to be casting the illuminated versions as much as you can to benefit from these bonus effects. Luckily, it is very easy to keep up the illuminated buff, especially if you use the symbol that will apply the buff. This will come in handy with the basic rotation for the spear skills. I've been noticing that this basic rotation I'm about to show you is generally the best rotation to be using for the spear. It's as simple as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Seriously, that's about it. Just do that and you'll be good to go. Spear 5 is the symbol that will apply the illuminated buff, and then you can just fire off all your other spear skills while inside the symbol. While inside the symbol, you will maintain the illuminated buff, guaranteeing that you cast all illuminated skills. Now, being a power-focused weapon, it's obviously going to fit in a bit better to a power-focused build. The Dragon Hunter and Willbender come to mind for me. Those are the two that I've been playing with spear the most. And they both feel really good, and also spear is just a lot of fun to use. I think it can be used as a main weapon or a secondary weapon to be complementary to whatever you choose your main weapon to be. It has the potential for very high single target strike damage if you make use of all the strike damage buffs that Guardian has access to, but it also has really strong ad clearing capabilities. Since skill 5, 4, and 3 are all AoE based, you can make very short work of ad waves. So this will definitely make spear a solid weapon choice on a power build when it comes to open world content. So let's get into some builds I've been using with the spear. Since this video is focused more on the actual spear itself, I'm not going to do a full deep dive on every aspect of every build I'm going to show here. Some things will be the same for each build, so let's cover that first. Stats for a spear build will likely just be a mix of power stats like Dragon, Marauder, or Berserker. You can find whatever combination works for you. It will probably be a little different for most people. And same goes for runes and sigils. I use Rune of the Ranger, but you can also use Rune of the Scholar, Eagle, Dragon Hunter, Infiltration. Sigils are just the typical power ones like Force, Impact, Accuracy, or Air. As for the traits, like I said, I'm not doing a deep dive here, but I will say I have tested every combination of Virtue, Zeal, and Radiance. And I feel as though you can make an argument for running any combination of these with whatever elite spec you choose. I really don't think Spear will be mixing up the way power builds pick traits. So I'll just tell you my general preferences for trait lines. For open world, I will usually take Virtues just for the general utility it provides. If I have a reliable source of resolution, I'll take Radiance for the resolution-based damage buffs. If not, I'll go with Zeal, and I'll make sure my rotations are based around using my symbol skills as much as possible. Now, obviously, you can read a lot further into this than that. This is just a basic explanation to help you understand why I may have picked certain trait lines. Let's start with the open world. The Willbender performs really well. Spear lets it hit very hard and very fast. Therefore, it also gains the benefit of the passive and active defenses that Willbender has. Since the spear skills deliver a lot of hits, they will trigger virtue effects constantly, helping you maintain boons like Might, Resolution, Fury. Pair that with a couple fast-hitting Willbender skills, and you should have no problem at all with boon generation. I've been really enjoying dual swords as the second weapon slot to maximize mobility, and maybe then you can make use of Relic of Paitha since you'll be using more Shadow Steps. But otherwise, Relic of the Thief is still a very good choice. I feel as though the Willbender has a lot more general utility in its kit when using Spear, so it will probably make for a better fit in the open world. For example, it has more self-Condi clear with Absolute Resolve and Solar Storm. It has a big CC combo with Heaven's Palm and Symbol of Luminance. And of course, the mobility I was talking about only gets better with Helio Rush. All of this will be especially useful in the open world in Janthir, since there are a lot of enemies that have Condi Bombs, Boon Corrupts, big AoE. It's good to have a lot of this self-defensive utility in your kit. However, I know Willbender can be a bit too fast-paced for some people, and that's fine, because the Dragon Hunter with the Spear also performs really well. It may be a little bit slower in its playstyle, but that doesn't mean it hits any less hard. Since we'll be using traps, we can switch to Relic of the Dragon Hunter to gain an extra damage buff. I like to take at least 3 traps and try to stagger cast times so I can keep the relic buff active for as long as possible. The Greatsword seems to be a better fit as the second weapon on Dragon Hunter to help with resolution uptime and give a bit more CC with Greatsword 5. And of course, Greatsword is just another big power burst weapon. But the interesting thing here is the general utility of the Spear seems to fill the gaps that the Dragon Hunter has. For example, Dragon Hunter doesn't have as much Condi clear, while Spear 4 clears Condi if you're in the impact zone. Dragon Hunter doesn't have as much self-might generation, while Spear 3 will help with that. And Spear 2 will provide more mobility that Dragon Hunter can benefit from. And enemies walking out of range of your traps isn't as big of a problem anymore since you have a big AoE CC skill on Spear 5. It's really cool seeing how Spear seems to fill the gaps that Dragon Hunter used to have while playing out in the open world, especially since Dragon Hunter has always been a personal favorite of mine, so it's good to see that it performs really well with this new weapon. Now, moving over to group content, both Willbender and Dragon Hunter work well as a full power DPS, but after trying out both of them, I think Dragon Hunter is the clear winner of the two. You're actually able to take the existing standard DPS Dragon Hunter build and just slap a spear on it and you're good to go. Having tried both of them with the spear as a DPS, I gotta say there isn't really a reason to use the spear on a power DPS Willbender. The Willbender requires a lot more button pressing, movement directing, you need to be really fast with your rotation, whereas over on Dragon Hunter you have an easier rotation, no forced movement, some simple fast casting defenses. For a power DPS, Dragon Hunter just seems to work with the spear a lot better. However, as an Alacrity healer, the Willbender does work well with the spear. I will admit I haven't played this too much, so I can't speak too extensively about it, but as far as I know, it does work. The support that spear provides fits in well with the healer build. Since the spear hits many times, it'll make Alacrity generation pretty easy, and the support buffs on the spear skills will help too. Personally, I much prefer the quick heal Firebrand if I want to play a healer on Guardian, but if you are desperate for a Willbender group build that works with the spear, this one does work. Now, you may have noticed that I skipped over the Firebrand, so I'll just briefly touch on it. I will admit I haven't played it too much, but I do have some thoughts about it. I feel as though Firebrand is a little too Condi damage based or even hybrid based for the spear to really shine properly. If you were to make a Condi based build, there are better weapons for that than spear. If you were to take spear for the support capabilities it has, again, I still think there are better choices that provide better support. And this goes for open world and group content. The only build I've been seeing work for Firebrand Spear is the open world Celestial one. The one that uses Axe, Torch, and Staff, but you just swap out the staff for the spear and it works the exact same way. I don't know though, if you really like Firebrand, I'm sure you could come up with some way to make spear work. Like I said, I haven't tried it too much myself, so if you know of a way to build a really good spear Firebrand, feel free to let us all know. But for now, I really think Spear works the best on a full power focused build on an elite spec that can build for very high strike damage like the Dragon Hunter or Willbender. Okay, so for now, I think that's going to conclude my thoughts and discussion on the Guardian Spear. I'm sure many other Guardian players will have their own personal opinions and thoughts, so feel free to share them and let's have a discussion. I do plan on diving a bit deeper into the Guardian Spear to see if I can create some creative, fun builds to play. I'm curious to see if a solo open world Dragon Hunter would be possible with Spear. I don't know though, I'll see what I can come up with. If it's worth sharing, I will share it. Anyways, that's gonna be all for now. I hope this video helped you out, or maybe you found it interesting or whatever. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye for now.